Guys, hello, welcome. This is going to be another short video, but I think could be potentially a powerful one for you. It's just really about that question on the screen. So there's two there really that I want to address. So a lot of the time when I'm speaking to people, you get back a lot of, I'm not sure if now's the right time. I'm not sure if I'm ready to make a change. So I want you to think about, and I'll kind of delve into this with you, are you ready for change? But then, if not, more importantly, like, why not? What's going on? I'm sure we've all tried to make a change in the past. Sometimes we're successful, sometimes we're not. But a lot of the time, we kind of say, right now, this is, new year, new me is a perfect example of this. But then we fall back into our old habits and then kind of bad habits and poor routines that we wanted to get out of in the first place. So, really, the purpose of the video is just to kind of go through and help you understand where you might be on that kind of readiness for change, but then also a bit more on how do you actually follow through with the change? How do you make sure that you are giving yourself the best chance to be successful? So that's exactly what I'm going to go through. So first of all, I'm just going to go kind of a little bit through the psychology of the readiness for change. So there's a change model which I'll quickly run through now. So the different stages is pre-contemplation, contemplation, preparation, action, maintenance, and then lapse. So with your pre-contemplation stage, this is where change hasn't even crossed your mind yet. Maybe you don't even realize that you need to make a change. And then often when we kind of in this section, we're thinking of either I can't or I won't or I don't need to. There's multiple areas, but it's all them kind of negatives of not even thinking that you even you need to make a change or you want to make a change. Maybe things haven't quite hit a point where you're like, no, I need to do something to improve my health and well-being here. But maybe you haven't made that stage within the pre-contemplation stage. Then we kind of move on from that stage when we hit contemplation, where slowly change is starting to creep into your mind. So maybe you're just starting to think about things. Okay, well, maybe I'll change this, or I might think about doing this. So we're not at a stage where we're ready for change, but it's starting to creep in, and it's a thought that you're having. You are thinking about improving some aspect of your health and well-being. We move on to preparation. So at this point, we've kind of gone through them initial phases, and it's like, I am going to make a change. I will make a change. I'm ready to make a change, and I'm starting to get ready for that. So at this point, you haven't taken action yet, but you're at the point where you know that you will. Then we hit action, where we actually start to begin to change. So it's gone from kind of I won't, I don't, to maybe I will, to I actually am. And this is obviously the key thing. This is step one of actually making a change in terms of seeing it come to fruition. You're taking action, you're starting to do the things that you've told yourself that you need to do and that you want to do. Once we've obviously taken action, we've got a period of maintenance then where we're kind of in the midst of change. So we've gone from I am to I still am. And this is just kind of the area you want to be the longest, really. You want to get everything behind the scenes and kind of the foundations all kind of solid and where they need to be in order for this just to kind of be the longest period possible of, I'm still committing to this change. I'm still doing what I set out to do. But so often we hit this kind of last area and kind of lapse where suddenly out of the blue, or it might come kind of slow and gradual, you just end up burnt out and you think, oh, quit, I'm not doing this anymore, I can't do it, overwhelmed, it's too much, life's getting in the way, like I'm too busy, I can't do this. This is where the kind of these excuses start to creep back in. If we don't look after the kind of underlying systems in place, then we get this area of like burnout, stress gets overloaded, and suddenly what we wanted to make a change in, it's kind of like, I can't do this anymore. And then what you'll find then, this is kind of like on a loop, really. So you'll go from lapse straight back into that pre-contemplation phase. So we go from I quit, I'm not doing it anymore, and then we're back into that thing where it's like I can't, I won't, I'm not even really thinking about it. And then maybe 6 or 8 weeks down the line, again we start to creep back into that contemplation phase where it's like, oh, you know what, maybe I could go back to the gym, maybe I can lose the weight that, it's been a bit stubborn for me over the last few years. Whatever the goal is, and then this is where we're in that vicious cycle then of on it, off it. Yeah, I've taken action. I'm in that maintenance phase. I can't do this anymore. And then suddenly, when we get stuck in this vicious loop of finding ourselves in different areas of change, we never actually achieve anything because we're not stuck with something for long enough to see the desired effects. And that's kind of where we end up. So for me, why readiness matters. Often with high performers, almost everyone I've worked with, your ambition isn't the problem. Like, you want to make a change, you are ready to make a change, but the bandwidth is. And by bandwidth, I mean that your energy's been taken up elsewhere, work's busy, you've got commitments with your family, financial, life's just getting in the way. It's not a weakness. It's not something that you physically can't do. You're not. It's not as if you're not made out for making a change, but life's getting in the way for numerous reasons. Often for me in the past, it's been work-related stress, kind of trying to fit in everything that I possibly could to do the best job that I can, which would then have a knock-on effect on my sleep. Going back a few years that would take a hit on my gym, which would take a hit on my diet, and then obviously suddenly my physical goals were out of the window because it was like I was just running on empty. I was burnt out, and often the thing that you're doing that helps you the most is the thing that you drop the quickest. So for me, I knew the benefits of the gym. Like physically, obviously, I felt a lot better. Mentally, the benefits are there to be seen, but it's often the first thing that goes to the wayside. You don't sleep properly. Maybe you've had a late night with work or some other commitments or stress or whatever it could be. So I can't really bother with the gym today. So you kind of punish yourself with not following through with the change and following through with like the enjoyable aspects of what comes with the change. So for me, really, the important thing here is it isn't about creating optimal conditions. And this is often why we don't commit to change. So often we'll say, oh, it's not the right time. When things slow down, or when, this is out of the way, or when work's a little bit quieter, the list goes on. But the issue is that this optimal and perfect condition that you're searching for never arises. There's always something that can get in the way, especially when you're looking for it. And when you're looking to create these optimal conditions, you will always find something. You'll always find a reason to not follow through with a change because it's easy to find these negatives and these little stumbling blocks. It's really easy to find them. So what we need to kind of understand really that whatever you commit to changing has to fit into your real life and not this kind of ideal version that's costing you days, weeks, months, and years where you could be living a better life, but purely because you're waiting to kind of hit that desired life, which might come through actually committing to the change, but we're waiting for that to just fall to our laps as if it's going to be a gift from the gods, and that just doesn't happen. So when you're assessing your readiness, for me, really, there's three practical questions that you need to ask yourself. So the first one's around clarity. So I want you to think, do you know exactly what you want to change? So if you don't kind of have this set out, then it makes it obviously difficult to achieve, but also something that will keep you on track in these difficult moments and when life does start creeping back into the way of things. Why does it matter to you? What is its importance to you to achieve this goal? Why are you making the change in the first place? And then you need to think about your current capacity. So, do you have the energy and the space to focus and commit to this goal? Or at the moment, are you spread too thin? Is your stress out the way? Are you feeling burnt out? And if we don't focus on our ability to improve this capacity and manage it better, then this will often be the stumbling block in the questions of readiness. Because you will think to yourself, no, at the minute, it's just not the right time. And like I said, then perfect conditions don't exist. So we end up in this limbo for days, weeks, months, years, and this is all time that we will never get back. And then final question is support. So do you have the structure or support of someone to guide you along the way? Or is it just that you're relying on willpower alone? So in order to kind of create this space to make change, you need to again just reiterate and kind of get to that point of let's figure it out in real life and not this kind of desired perfection, because perfection doesn't even exist. Now, this is exactly why I created my Flourishing Framework program, is to reduce this friction and help you to kind of reduce this friction. And now the way that I do that is by giving you the tools, giving you a structure that works better in managing, life stresses and balancing them out better, but also an element of accountability, which comes from the support that you get from myself and my community. And sometimes you do need a little bit of accountability. It's not always willpower alone. Sometimes you do need someone to check in with. You do need someone in your corner when you're kind of going through this fight. So the big thing for me, and the reason why I've created this program, is like, stop letting life and things that are getting in the way push your aspirations to the wayside. Like, we get one life, and we're just kind of walking through it each and every day and not really experiencing or living the way that we want to. And that's not really the optimal life that you dream of, that's putting you off in the first place. So for me, it's about, can we create the conditions, can we get the successful system and foundations in place by improving your sleep, managing your stress slightly better, kind of doing more of the things that are important to you, that bring value to your life. Because then suddenly you're moving more towards that real life situation, improving the real life situation, which then gives you a greater space and greater capacity to actually make a change. And the perfect example for me, really, that I kind of use a lot is that kind of, okay, I'm going to go back to the gym, fat loss, muscle gain, whatever the goal is. But it's kind of just like, what, maybe I'll work with a PT, maybe I'll go it alone, whatever it may be. But we just go straight into, what, I'm going to go to the gym 4 days a week, and I'm going to eat X amount of calories. And this is what I need to hit my goal. And I'm ready for this change. But suddenly the things that let us down are, we're still sleeping horrendously. Work's still getting on top of us. We're feeling like we're spread too thin. So when we're not working on the foundations, we're not working on the systems that help you to create change, we're just adding to that stress. Then your body can't adapt, and then again, stress becomes overloaded. And if you think of your stress as like a bucket of water, suddenly that water is overflowing, and then your fitness and your health are the first things that you let go again, because it's like, I just don't have time for the gym. It's seen as kind of a commodity rather than an essential thing. So then it's that, you're putting it to the wayside straight away, and it's like, I did want to lose weight, but now's not the right time. But when actually, if we sorted out everything underneath that, and we got you the right system in place, and we made a little few tweaks to the lifestyle and reduce that friction through certain tools that you'll get access to within the framework, you'd see that actually the benefits of physical activity are there to be seen, and I can do them in my lifestyle. I just need to make a few little tweaks. And suddenly, when you get that system in place, you are ready for change, and you don't have the little excuses of work being too busy, family commitments are too high, I don't have time for this, I can't do that. Suddenly these excuses start to fade away, and you actually start moving towards that desired state that you're after. So for me, really, the next steps, if you've found this of value and you feel like you're ready to make a change, but you're just not sure how to, you want to build your own foundations to allow you to have that best possible chance of success in this change, then just go back and ask yourself them 3 questions. Be really clear, get that clarity. Think about your current capacity. What is letting you down? Where can you improve? Where can you expand that capacity to allow you to make sustainable change? And finally, think about that support network. Are you just winging it on your own, hoping for the best, relying solely on motivation that's faded so many times in the past? Or do you have a solid support network in place that are going to allow you to clearly give you the tools and the structure that you need to be successful? So if you feel ready, but you feel like life's getting in the way, I just want to reiterate that final point again. Please stop waiting for perfect. Help yourself and kind of think about how you can stop life getting in the way. What things can you implement that prevent life getting in the way? What areas are kind of overloading you at the minute that can be easily adjusted? Where can you increase that capacity so you feel ready and you actually are ready and you start to make the change? And we live within that area of maintenance rather than this constant cycle of running through the stages, hitting the laps, back to pre-contemplation, back through again. We relapse again, and we end up in a vicious cycle of never really achieving anything. But in order for us to make this change, like I say, Stop waiting on perfect conditions because they don't exist. You will never find them. You will always find a reason to not do something, but it takes true resilience and strength to look past the million reasons why not to do something, but find the one or two reasons as to why you need to make a change. So if you found this video valuable, please either hit the link in the description to get a call booked in with myself and see if I can help, or get in touch via Instagram and we can kind of go back and forth and I can understand a bit more about your current situation. I appreciate you taking the time out to watch this video and I hope that it's been of use. I'll see you in the next one.